Hey, a little jam there, wasn't it?
Lovely little jam.
Yeah, so, sorry.
Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome to Andertons TV. I'm the captain.
And I'm Danish Pete.
And it is a momentous day. Well, it's a fairly momentous day. It's actually a Tuesday.
Every day is a momentous day.
It is.
Every day is
When
the
you get
best
to work
day.
at Andertons and demonstrate guitars for a living, every day is momentous. I knew it.
It had to happen.
Okay, so one of the first exciting news of 2018 is that Fender have revisited their sort of historical range of guitars, the ones that are designed to look like guitars from a yesteryear, and have released a new range called the Original Series.
Yes.
So as a bit of background to this, right from my earliest memories as a wee nippersnapper in Andertons, there was always a kind of a nod to guitars from a yesteryear from Fender. You could get like a classic 50s Strat and a 60s Strat, and periodically they'd do the bigger headstock 70s Strat and stuff like that.
Logos different, all that
Yep.
stuff.
But there was always a bit of a sort of a feeling that they perhaps weren't as vintage correct as they perhaps could have been. And then about 10 years ago, maybe a bit less than that, under the sort of guidance of the then CEO of Fender, Larry Thomas, who was a massive guitar collector, had all kind, real vintage expert, loads of guitars in his collection, he decided that what would be the right thing to do would be to scrap these kind of sort of nods towards the 50s and 60s and actually replace that range with completely correct guitars from specific years. So, like a 57 Strat, 59 Strat, 62s, different Tellys, Jazzmasters.
Yeah,
and they were all completely correct. So they had the correct kind of 7.5 inch radius. They'd have a neck sort of carve on the back that was appropriate to that year. Because of course you've got to remember, back in the 50s and 60s, Fender are changing stuff almost every month, let alone
You'll
every
see
year.
transition logos and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And I guess, if anything, the two criticisms perhaps of that very vintage correct series that's now discontinued was that it was perhaps a bit confusing. I think everybody kind of knows that they like the 50s vibe or the 60s vibe, but maybe they don't know specifically which year they like. And the other one, and probably the bigger one, was that very few people really get on with the heavy
7.5.
Yeah.
Which means that when you do bend the string, you bend it up and it tends to die out. I mean, I like it. I don't mind it. I mean, you just get around it in a way, don't you?
Early Fenders had a very... We're talking about the radius, okay? I'm sure, it took me a few years to really understand what radius was, but if you look at the way the fretboard... very few fretboards on guitars are completely flat, and early Fenders had a very rounded vibe to them.
Yeah.
Largely, I think, because kind of down at this end, it's pretty comfy, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you to have that heavier curve, it's pretty comfy for doing chords. The downside is when you're trying up round about the sort of 15th, 17th fret, whatever, and you're bending that B string like that on the heavy curve, unless your action's very high, it just chokes out on the frets over the middle of the neck.
Yeah.
So a modern Fender, and when I say modern, I mean kind of anything really from mid-70s onwards, maybe even earlier than that, is a 9.5 inch radius.
Yeah.
So a slightly flatter curve, which means you can have a slightly lower action and still do all your...
Yeah, but see, this
big
is the
bends
thing,
like
because
that.
I think it's just, I get along fine with it, and I have played loads of 7.5 inch radius necks that don't fret out.
If only we could all be as good on the guitar as you, Peter.
No, but that's not the point. But when you get the fast playing, like the Jaguars with the flat, completely flat.
Yeah.
It's, for me, that's really weird because it's so flat.
It's I
I don't mind it a little bit more curvy. I like curved styling,
Generally speaking, I think the 9.5 inch radius, if anybody kind of goes, what would a typical Fender radius be? I mean, it's weird. I know on Fender Custom Shop, you see Fender Custom Shop guitars in guitar stores all around the world that are supposed to be, 50s reissues and 60s reissues and stuff like that. And I'm reliably informed by our Fender Custom Shop man that like 95% of those guitars are spec'd with a 9.5 inch radius, so not a vintage correct radius.
But you can have it with whatever you want.
You can have whatever you like, because the general consensus is that 9.5 is more comfortable. So 2018, boom, new range, nice and simple. 6 guitars in the range. I don't know why I'm doing that because that's a 5.
And then you get
6 guitars in the range. Help me out, Pete. Give me an extra finger. Yes. So we might as well start with the Strats, which is what we're sitting here.
50s. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go on,
really simple. No, you're bang on.
It's really, really simple. 1950s.
1960s.
Yes.
Really, you're kind of going, the main differences between these two guitars is the fretboard. Do you know what we'll put on screen now? There are a range of colours in the 50s range, and here they are on screen now. And there is a range of colours in the 60s range, and here they are now. So, yes, in terms of spec, different pickups.
Yep.
So you'll hear Pete and I are using very similar sounding amps. Pete's got a DeVille, I've got a Hot Rod Deluxe.
Yeah.
It's the same preamp basically in each amp. So you'll hear a lot of the tonal differences between these two are very much because of the guitar and maybe a playing style.
Maple, neck, fingerboard, different pickups, you know.
Yeah.
That does make a difference.
Single ply scratch plate.
Yeah.
Different vibe to the neck. So we'll each play each one and try and describe those, but typically the 60s went to a slightly more of a C-shaped, thinner sort of neck.
Yeah, this is 50s. Definitely a chunkier neck on this one. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, have we got different logos? Yeah, you've got the spaghetti logo. I've got the sort of the slightly more blocky logo.
That's kind of the 65, not the 64, but the 65 logo, right? That's it, really, isn't it?
The body carve is basically the same. The machine heads are the same.
Yeah.
So let's
Trem system is the same.
Yeah.
So we listen or shall we talk lacquer?
Okay, well we might as well talk lacquer. So this is going to get probably some press, I would have thought. So these are a sort of a modern approach to doing nitro finishes. So it is the actual cut. The primer is a polyurethane finish. That's a more modern finish. They're using that because it's harder wearing. And the skin, if you like, of the lacquer is nitro. So it will age and relic similarly to an all nitro guitar. But I think one of the downsides I say downsides. Some people think it's a downside, some people think it's a bit charming, is if you just have an all nitro finish guitar, the relicking literally starts in the journey from the factory.
Yeah.
Like sometimes in the journey from the factory, if it's sort of doing this, there's enough of a little bump on the neck, and then all of a sudden you'll see those little cracks that appear just around the heel joint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And not a lot you can do about that because nitro's so soft.
It cracks. So if it's cold in the case and then it gets warm, and it'll just crack.
This is like this is a good halfway house really for someone that wants a nitro finish because they like the idea that over time they'll sort of start to wear it in, and perhaps they just prefer the general shine of it, but doesn't necessarily want something that's going to be very fragile. So anyway,
there's two camps, isn't there? There's two camps. There's the people who love new guitars, shiny guitars.
Yes.
And then they hate relic, and then there's the people who love the relic and they don't really like this.
So you need to be in the first one of those camps to really like these guitars. Anyway, look, I think you do some chords, because I'm very conscious that your sound, and I tried to change my amp setting to emulate your setting. Yours is very bright, much brighter than mine.
Is it?
So I think you do like 3 or 4 chords and a bit of playing on some different selections on that, and then I'll just hand you this guitar and people can hear it on the same.
I mean, I'm running most of the stuff on 12 here, a little bit of reverb like this.
Yeah.
And then it's like that. No pedals at all on the floor, nothing. Really nice. It's just
gorge.
Yeah, I went from the neck pickup down to both pickups here, which is that classic kind of middle pickup. Nice.
I was really enjoying, I know you're going to do position 2 now, but I was really enjoying the sound you were getting out of the bridge pickup where you were picking very close to the back as well. I thought that was a real classic sound.
I mean, there's no pedals involved here. Just to do position 2. very spanky, very spanky.
Great.
Very spanky on that one. And the bridge is... and then I put the light speed in when you had it before, and there was like... That was a bit of a light speed.
The bridge pickup on that is that it doesn't. I don't know if it's because the amp maybe. I know the sort of the Blues Deluxe and the DeVille has a slightly softer top end than some of those vintage Fender amps, but it doesn't ice pick you straight between the eyes, does it?
No, it's not. It doesn't, even with the light speed on. It's not,
right. Oh. So a quick keep your ears on what Pete's just done.
oh, that's lighter, this one.
Think so?
Yeah, I think it's lighter. That's what I feel. Neck is slimmer.
Neck is slimmer. Yeah.
It is lighter. I've been to the gym, so it might be. Right, clean. Straight away, this is more...
It's mellow, isn't it?
Mellow. It's really mellow. I mean, I like maple because it gets bottom end and top end at the same time.
I ebb and flow between just how much difference can you hear when you have two different fretboard materials. You know, there's definitely a part of me that goes, sometimes you hardly hear it at all and you think, God, are we all making it up? And then you have two guitars like this, which are, you know, fundamentally the same basic sort of Strat style guitar. Yes, the pickups on the 60s ones are different to the pickups in here, but they're not. The pickups aren't voiced to be more mellow. It's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that the sort of that sort of softening of the treble is because it's a rosewood fretboard. But hey.
Well, wood doesn't make a difference, does it?
Oh yes, it does. Scientifically not possible.
No, it doesn't.
So let's not even. Let's just
ask Greg Koch, because he definitely said.
Well, he thinks it does, doesn't he?
Of course
but you know, and then other guitarists don't.
Of course
think
it does.
If you can hear it,
does.
It's
of course
there.
it does. Of course it does.
Oh, fan those flames.
Comments below. See, I'm reaching for the tone control
to turn it up. I know, but that's what I was kind of feeling when I had the you know, jamming with you. I kind of felt like I wasn't cutting through.
But there you go. But it gets that middle.
It's just a different sound.
It's a different sound. It's just a different sound, but it's more that kind of. It's more that I don't have a tube screamer here, you know what I mean? But it's more that mid spanky sort of. So that's That's definitely more bottom end and more top end, where this is more the mid that.
Yep. I mean, again, as a player, again, the 50s neck is the chunkier one. I wouldn't have said it's definitely not the chunkiest neck that I've ever played, but it's not dissimilar to the neck that's on my 54 Custom Shop Strat.
Nope.
It's that sort of. The fretboard and the back of the neck is lacquered.
But that will have a weak V neck, though. V. That will have a bit of a V, won't it?
Probably
on your. It does on my
more,
56.
It says in the spec list that it's soft V. It really. I mean, there is a point around about the sort of the third fret, maybe fifth fret, that you can kind of feel that. But certainly by the time you're up past the sort of 7th fret and stuff, it just feels like a sort of a fatter version of that neck.
If you grab a hold of my 56, it'll have a proper. Like
well, I remember trying an early Eric Clapton signature Strat, and literally the neck on it was like that.
Yes.
You know, it was like, whoa, that's what you mean by a V. But there's very few guitars that have that pronounced sort of V on it. You know?
I don't mind it. It sits good in the hand there, because your hand, when you hold it like this, actually That's a V shape.
There's a lot to be said as well. I've always been a fan of the lacquered fretboard.
Okay.
I know on the current, I think, American Professional, if you buy a maple neck one of those, the back of the neck is satin and the front of the neck is lacquered. I think it's quite a difficult technique to do because obviously you've got this point on the guitar then where you've got sort of like lacquered meets no lacquer. But obviously on a vintage kind of correct guitar, the whole neck would be lacquered. And it does give it that, I love the feel of the fretboard. It's so smooth, isn't it? So there are the Strats. As I said, if you do you want to see them again? Should we quickly put the colour choices on the page? Drum roll, please, before we talk about pricing. The good news is all these guitars, whether you buy Strat, Tele, Jaguar, Jazzmaster, are all about the same. So give or take a couple of quid, depending on the model, they're all about £1,600.
Yeah, that's all right.
Not. I think price-wise is that sort of somewhere in between an American Professional and an American Elite, something like that. So it's that kind of dough. Beautiful cases with them.
Yeah.
Really nice. It's not the plastic sort of molded cases that you get with the
professional
modern stuff. It is the old school wooden cases.
Tweed with this one, black with this one,
and brown with
brown tweed.
Yeah,
is it brown tweed? No, it's not. It's a brown sort of.
I don't really know if that's something that will carry on throughout the whole time that these guitars are available. I assume it will.
But that's correct though, isn't it? That's period, that's era. Yeah, because the tweed cases, I got a tweed case with all of my 50 stuff.
Right.
Custom, they're all tweed.
So basically the idea is you buy a 50s Strat or a 50s Tele, you get a tweed case. If you buy a 60s Strat or a 60s Tele, you get a black case, black leather bound case. And if you buy either of the Jags or Jazzmasters, you get a brown case. They have also, inside the case, been redesigned, which I thought was quite clever. So these are the ones that have the sort of the big
one in the middle here.
Sits on with the pocket in to stop the neck going up and down. They've also, if you have a look, they've now got a little extra, little extendy bit that comes out and sits inside the.
So it just holds onto here.
So it stops it doing even like minuscule movements.
So when you are taking it to the airport now, you can't take guitars on planes anymore because that's an absolute no-no. And you want to check it in, then it might be safe.
I would suggest that if you are going to put your guitar in the hold of an airplane, you buy a full flight case.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Or buy a seat for it. Or buy a seat. It's going to cost the same as a flight case. Right.
Telecasters.
Yes. Now, let's just tune up. Let's just tune up, mate.
Okay. Well, whilst Pete's tuning up, I can kind of tell you that really...
That one. I love that one.
Yeah, this is great. So Pete's Telecaster, despite the fact that it is sort of called a 50s Telecaster, they don't specify the year. In reality, it's a 52 Telecaster.
Yeah.
So it's got the right kind of neck carve for that. It's got the right
colour.
Bridge saddles. It's the right colour.
It's right. It's a black guard.
It's about as 52
it's about
as you can get.
Keith Richards as it can get, isn't it?
Big neck.
Yeah, it's very similar to the 50s. It might not be.
Let me see.
It might not be V.
Yeah.
It's less. It's more U.
I mean, this is.
Is it V? Is it U?
Do you know what? I mean, that V is so soft on the other one, but you can definitely feel that.
There's a chunkiness, the same similar chunkiness.
That is more rounded.
Yeah, it feels like it gets a little bit big up here, but it might just be me. And it sounds like this clean into the
D-Ville.
D-Ville with a 2x12 on a G chord. No pedals.
Are they? Obviously, that's an ash body. You can see the grain on there. So everything is older in the range except for the 50s Tele.
Yeah. Lovely. This is lovely.
Can I see the neck? Can you show the people, the good viewers at home, is it a one-piece neck and fretboard?
It looks like it, yeah.
Let's have a look. Yeah, it's funny. You're probably right. It's just
I think when they roll the edge, the grain will look a bit different because they roll the edges around.
Yeah.
So that because you can see it up here.
You're right. It is. It is literally just changing the view that I've got of the grain.
And then it makes sense with this bit.
It does make sense
With the stripe in the back.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's just as well I'm not in charge of making guitars at Fender.
But this is nice, man. Just listen to the a piece of wood on a piece of wood with some strings on it. It shouldn't make any sense. But it does.
Well, it makes every sense to me.
I've got wood, baby.
So when you go over to the 60s...
I love that.
You get, you get a wicked colour. You'll notice, of course, we've now got what's called a double bound body. So bound front and back. That's the white binding we're talking about. We have got the thinner, more typical neck profile of a 60s sort of guitar.
Is that Lake Placid blue with a bit of sparkle in the metallic?
It is indeed Lake Placid blue. Lake Placid blue.
If you put a total shell scrap plate on that,
it'd be my dream guitar. The saddles, the bridge is basically the same, except that Pete's has the big chunky brass saddles on it. They're even bigger, I think.
Chunky brass.
And I have the I don't know, steel saddles, I guess. Stainless steel.
It looks like it. If that was me, I would probably spend that little bit of extra charge and change them over.
Still sounds great though, doesn't it?
It does. That's really light, that guitar. I noticed when I picked that guitar up,
it weighs
not very
really,
much.
really
Is that
light.
chambered?
I don't think so. Come in.
No.
No, they're all, it's just...
It's cool.
Oh, it's ringing.
Well, let's hear it, man.
I still think I can hear the rosewood maple thing.
I completely agree. Here, play the same thing. I only said that because I want this guitar.
What pickup was I on? Was I on the neck pickup? I think I was, wasn't
on the front one, yeah.
It's not massive, but it is there. I mean,
it sounds so good.
Fender amp, Fender guitar, no pedals.
I always say that.
It
a Fender
so
to a Fender. It's just absolutely great.
Sort of incestuous, isn't it? But it works.
Oh man, but it's so good with the light speed.
Flip me. I think, again, personally,
I love this guitar, man.
I like the 50s Strat more and I like the 60s Tele more.
Yes.
Although, again, they're all good,
I completely agree. But this is nice. I always wanted to have... I wish this would be a little bit more yellow. Would that go yellow over time, you think?
Probably. Yeah,
smoke
absolutely. You have to get little
Dip it in tea
cold tea with no milk in it and rub it all over it. But have we done tones, proper tones on these?
That was pretty good tones there,
There's only 3 to show you on here.
Oh man, I mean it is good, isn't it? It is.
Oh, Peter Norrie, how do you make 2 chords just sound so amazing?
That's not me, it's the looper pedals.
Well, anyway, look. So
anyway, moving on.
Telecasters are great. Here we go into the
realm of
yes, what Leo Fender thought was going to basically be the future, and ended up never really being quite what he thought it might do. But they're here. They do a thing. So yes, if you don't know, Jaguars and Jazzmasters were kind of Leo's deluxe range of guitars.
Okay.
Both, I think, came out around about 65, 66, something like that. And yeah, I don't know. They're probably a little bit too weird, a little bit too complicated, trying to be a bit too clever.
Well, you say that. I think it's just how you... Now, this is the Jazzmaster. I think it's kind of... It wanted to be like a jazz guitar in between the two, didn't it? Wasn't it like a...
This is controversial, but to say that the Jaguar and the Jazzmaster never really became like a player's guitar.
It wasn't really.
Like I can't think of a virtuoso player like a
player
like a John Mayer or an Eric Clapton or an Ingrid Malmsteen or an Eric Johnson or a one of those dudes. I can't think of a Jazzmaster Jaguar guy. For me, they became the guitar of the anti-hero, the Kurt Cobain
hipsters, as you call them today.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have said Kurt Cobain was a hipster, but the guy who just
he kind of was at his time, wasn't he? Wasn't he? Wasn't that the thing?
Never
wasn't
really.
That
did he have a beard and a lumberjack shirt?
No, but it didn't. It wasn't there then. But it's kind of that was.
I'm
thinking
like the Dinosaur Jr., the Kurt Cobain, kind of the vibe where the guy's like, I don't want to look like my dad playing a Strat and a Telecaster.
Fuzzy grunge bands, right?
Grunge bands just anything from Seattle. Yeah,
I don't know anything.
They
a bit
were the
different.
hipsters of the day, weren't they? Just one word wasn't there.
Who else was a big? The guy from Feeder. Who else was a big sort of jazz mastery? What was his name? Guy from Feeder? Grant something.
John has been playing a red tortoiseshell jazz.
Johnny Mayer.
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, in that case, then forget everything I just said. It's the best guitar ever designed ever in the history of mankind.
It does a thing because when you've got these switches, right? So you've got normal setup down here on the Jazzmaster. You got a 3-way switch which switches between us. You would like naturally do volume and tone, and then it's got this thing up here which becomes where it sort of sets it to something else, and then you've got a volume and a tone as well. But the way that it voices the pickups.
Isn't it called the lead circuit or something? And you kind of kick it in, and it's like you say, you've got volume and tone, but really weird, like these recess things.
Yeah.
But even with everything on full, it just sounds a bit different.
Yeah. So just a quick sort of demonstration. So that's your three. Different.
That's with this down.
That was with the switch down. Yeah. Like, and then if you put the switch up like that, then it's
dark.
Then it's a volume. The tone. That's when it becomes the master of jazz. That's what I think anyway. That would be the jazz.
Name one famous jazz player that plays a Jazzmaster.
I honestly can't. If anybody knows, please put it in the subscription.
It is just. It's.
I mean, I had one and it looked cool. I bought it because I was going to do some TV show.
Cool.
And then I put it down here, and then I didn't even plug it in because mime is money, as they say. So.
Well, one of the things we didn't really do. So let's just everything on full, just on the neck pickup. Strum it and then just lift this up so you're hearing the two different.
Yeah, that's a lot of output. I think Chris Stapleton actually plays one.
So you've got this sort of high frequency rolled off circuit.
Yeah.
Other things on the Jaguar and the Jazzmaster which are a bit quirky is the Tremolo System. And the bridge.
You can lock it, can't you? You can lock it with this thing here. So what it does here, this is what it does. It doesn't go up, but it still goes down, right? And then you click it in, and then it goes up and down.
Well, there we go.
Just like I like it.
So look, now the bridge I think is probably the most modded, like swapped out component on a Jaguar or Jazzmaster. So herein lies the problem. Are we zoomed in on me? Okay, so the strings go over the saddles. The saddles have little grooves built into them to kind of keep the string in place. And the reality is, it's ever so easy just through heavy picking to get that string to jump all over the saddle. And then, of course, if it jumps a couple of grooves, it's going to be a little bit out of tune.
Oh, if you whack it hard,
that's what I mean.
It'll also just jump off, and you know, I had the problem in my jazz.
There is, for about £25, a Fender. It's the Mustang Bridge, basically, if I remember rightly, which is the same thing. It's the same size. It just literally, you take this one out. This isn't even screwed in. No, it just basically sits in. So you take this out, you put the other one in, and that has the saddles on it with one single deep groove.
Yeah, like a Telecaster, basically. That's one groove for each. It doesn't have three like that, but it's got grooves, the same grooves. You know what I mean? The same little grooves for a string.
It's quite a modern. It's almost like a wheel, isn't it? With anyway,
it's little wheels. But it's got one groove per string, so it doesn't go anywhere.
Yes.
There's a second mod.
Is there?
Yes, there is, because that's what I had on my Jazzmaster. So what you get is, you get a piece of metal about this wide, same width as that, and then it's about that high, and it's got a little hole in it, and then it's got, it comes up, and there's a rolling bar that rolls. So what you do is, that clips onto this bit, clip, and then it goes over the strings here, right, like this, like so, and holds the strings down, which means they don't go anywhere at all, and that is a tuba mod.
My favourite mod for a Jaguar or Jazzmaster, it needs a credit card. So you use a credit card, and what you do is you take your credit card and you go to a music shop and you go, if I give you this and this, could I have a Stratocaster instead, please?
And they go, no, we don't take those in trade.
Anyway, look, I better show you what this sounds like, because I also have this kind of crazy old mute system, which I've not seen on. I don't think this was on the previous reissue Jazzmaster, but anyway, so look, I've got the same kind of vibe as Pete. Except that I've now got on and off switches. So instead of having a three-way toggle switch, I've got an on and off switch. So everything down is everything off. This is the neck pickup. I turn my delay off. This is the bridge pickup. This is both together. No, it isn't. This is both together. And then the third switch, I think, flips the phasing of or the way the single coils are wired. So. A little bit more bass end in one of the settings.
So many options. I mean, I like that you have all of those options.
Do you? I mean, you see a lot of pro guitar players where they just tape over all this stuff, so they can't. Anyway, and then up here I've got the same kind of lead circuit kind of vibe. So if I just have my neck pickup on, if I remember rightly how to do that. Here we go. And then if I click this down here, this cool foam pad, and this is one of the things that you'll never ever see on an original vintage one of these.
There's more bass thing,
because the foam just like degrades with sweat and stuff over time. So you'd have to. It's like palm muting, but without palm muting.
Yeah, I mean, the bassists have got it,
It's probably an ideal gent guitar, this, because you can just palm.
And this does a gent, definitely does.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird guitar.
No, it's not a weird guitar. It's a cool guitar.
I would have loved to have interviewed Leo Fender and gone,
why?
What are you thinking, man? What's the dealio?
Yeah, but hey, Gibson did that shape and these shapes and a V and all sorts of stuff.
They were all making crazy guitars. Them and Ted McCarthy and everything.
They were taking loads of...
massively. Must have been smashed out of their heads all the time. Full. I mean, look at some of the guitars that the Fender Marauder. The Gibson, what's the craziest Gibson I've ever seen? Modern, is it the Modern? The Modern, which looks more like sort of something like an axe that you'd fight someone with. But
you can with the guitar,
Hey.
Are these new, the binding, by the way? Is that a
No,
new
I think
thing,
the Jazzmaster and Jaguars had binding on them. Again, it's a lacquered neck. We should really talk about the features of the guitar. They're both thin 60s vibe necks, both rosewood fretboards. Rosewood. Let's talk about rosewood.
Oh, hey.
God. Most guitar brands are bailing on using rosewood, understandably, because it's so complicated now to import and export around the world. But Fender have nailed their colours to the flag and said, no, 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 if we're making a vintage, instrument and they had rosewood in the old days, they will have rosewood in the new days.
And so it should be.
So there we go. That's the range. It was. I like to think that we've tried to keep this video concise
and short.
We probably haven't. But yeah, 6 guitars, lots of nice colours. Did we show the different colours in the Tellies and the Jaguars and Jazz Masters?
No, we didn't, but we can now.
Well, we can now.
And go on the website, links below and all that stuff. Go and check them out. Come in. When are we going to have them in stock then?
Before the end of January. So
really?
Yes, absolutely. This is Fender's new way. They tell you about something and they put it in the shops. It's not like the old way where they tell you about something and 3 years later it might turn up in the shops.
Because that doesn't work, because people get all excited and then they can't get it and then they get something else. And then when they come, then they go, hey,
anyway,
I've
come on.
something.
Let's this probably, do you want to jam out on these two?
Yeah, why not?
Come on then, play something appropriate with lots of tremolo and delay.
And delays and loads of reverb.
Fabulous. Right, there we are. Which is your favourite three? Your favourite three?
Huh?
Hello, Peter Honore. Welcome to Andertons TV.
Are we done? I thought we were done.
Which are your favourite three?
My favourite three?
Yes.
This blue telly.
Yes.
And the gold Strat.
Yes.
50 Strat. And I didn't even play that one.
You didn't even play this one, did you? So
No.
just visually choose.
Visually,
It's got to be
this
that one, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. They've been my favourite three too. Anyway, I've been the Captain.
Oh, thanks, Pete.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel if you've got
Please.
nothing better to do.
Please. Be
and
nice.
We shall
Be
see
nice.
you in another video soon. Au revoir. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Andertons Guitar YouTube channel. If you're a drummer or a keyboard player or interested in music technology, you might find one of our other channels interesting, and I'll put details of those in the description below. If you want to find out more about the products we've just featured, please click here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this, please click here. If you want to watch another video on our guitar channel, click down here. And to subscribe to our guitar channel, click here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.